Well, Liam, we're speaking less than 24 hours after our season came to an end, so you haven't had much time to reflect, but how do you look back on particularly the playoff campaign?
The two games, I think, probably frustrated, disappointed. I think there was such a determination from the lads and the staff and everybody associated. To try and get to Wembley to not achieve that obviously brings that emotion. But I think it was conflicting feelings last night, knowing that it was a tough two games that ultimately we didn't deserve to go through. But at the same point, a season to be proud of. When you look at the performances, what the lads have achieved, and even beyond the results, I think bringing the club together and creating a buzz and excitement about the place.
And do you have to kind of separate that because it was hard yards to get into that top six?
Yeah, I think you have to. 24 hours later, I'm not finding it easy to, but I know as time passes, it'll be a positive reflection. I think on what we did do this season. I think huge progress from last year. With obviously where we finished, the points, but as much as anything, I think some of the football we played, I thought was real progress in the way we attacked. Last season it was quite difficult. I found at times to watch us with the ball, but the foundations of the culture and some of the defensive stuff has really helped us this season to then build on some of the attacking stuff. So yeah, huge progress I think in the last 18 months.
And as a football club, it's been a really exciting season. How have you enjoyed the buzz, not just around this club, but around the city?
Yeah, loved it. I think naturally, I think, when I joined the club, you could sense and feel the frustration, with the fans, in the building. I think you could just sense it. I think, and for me, the only way you change that is by the work you do and by what the fans turn up and see on a Saturday. And I think what we've shown, what we've brought is a group of lads and a group of staff that are all in, that give everything. Good days, bad days, natural, that's part of the game. But I think, when I look at vast majority of the games this season, we haven't lost games or performed poorly due to attitude, application or competing. It's quite often been about quality. So I think, the fans see that. The fans, they get it. They're real as well, which is probably why it was, nice to get the reception we got off, the last two games. I think, the fans saw, a group that have given everything over the course of the season and continue to do in the last two games.
And we know it's been an unbelievably tough year for you personally, but how much has this club and the people around it, the supporters, helped you get through that?
Yeah, hugely. It's most difficult career year personally for me. But professionally probably one of the most rewarding, I think, and that is what it does. I think it gives perspective to people. It gives a reminder of what's important. It did it for me while I was off work for a bit of why do I do what I do, and asking myself that question. I came back to constantly was people. Trying to help people, trying to improve people. The energy, the buzz you get off of it, and that's where when I look at the support I've had, has been fantastic from fans, from staff in here, from the lads. I think from everybody in the wider game as well. It's, like I said, been a tough year, but at the same point, just to set reminders, I think it's been good from that point.
And as with every season, there are ups and downs. Is there a season highlight that stands out to you? Yeah,
I think West Brom was a special one. I think that week was such an intense week with playing so many teams that are around us. We knew that, if we got results in those games, we were going to be in the mix for it. And I think probably the pain that we'd suffered up to that point were late goals conceded to drop points. I think to get one the other way where we win a game in that manner at home with the atmosphere was phenomenal. And I think you saw that in the celebrations with the staff, with the players, with the fans. It was and that kind of, I think, was a big kickstart, I think, in what we got in the games after that. And then Preston's obviously a special one as well. I think, after 17 years to be able to, create that hope and that buzz around the place, and then see what it meant to the fans after the game was, a special one as well.
I mean, you speak about that West Brom game. You, Hoggy, the coaching staff, all out of their seats, jumping up and down. That's not usually how you are on the sidelines. It was just that moment, being so late on in the game, and felt like you could achieve something this season. Definitely. I think it is that, and believe me, I'm fully emotional inside. I feel everything that everybody else does, but I think I have to act like I need the lads to. So I have to role model what they want for me personally, and that's kind of been a part of my philosophy. I think if the lads see me jumping around like a madman with no control, I can't expect them to be any different on the pitch. So that was one. I remember Pat punched me on the first goal. He went to give me a hug round Hoggy and punched me in the side of the head. So it was again a special memory, which is what the game's about, and I think that's what we've been able to do this season.
I think, you know, with fans on the road, fans at home, with the players, you know, Corns away at Millwall, again, a special memory for him and the lads and that. And yeah, it's what the game's about. It's about creating memories.
And we all see it here every day, but how key have your staff been to the success this season?
Yeah, top. I think we did a meeting day one of pre-season, I think, in terms of, you know, what you see on a Saturday or a Friday or a Sunday, whenever we play now. I think it's a combination of everybody's work. You know, I think from everybody behind the scenes, not just the coaches. I think everybody, you know, the kitchen staff, the laundry staff, the media department, you know, the medical guys, the stewards down the ground. Everything that happens at 3 o'clock on a Saturday is a combination of that. Everybody's job is to get the players in the best place possible to be able to perform. So when we do win, everybody wins together, and obviously the same pain when we lose.
And we saw some of the lads yesterday. I mean, dead on their feet, weren't they? Playing through niggles, injuries. How proud are you of them as a group?
Yeah, I think I've said it in every single interview. Couldn't be more proud. I think in terms of, you know, what they've had to go through this season, you know, the challenges they've faced, you know, the battle they've faced to turn people's opinions and prove people wrong, surprise a few people. It takes real resilience, togetherness and courage to do that. And you saw it last night. I think it's one of those last night. You go into the game knowing it's a real uphill challenge. The bit that you want to make sure is that, you know, you go down fighting, you leave everything out there, and the lads certainly did that. I think, you know, if we'd lost 3-0 last night and had 20% possession, no shots, and, you know, Sheffield United have had 80% and 28 shots, and you've been battered, I think it's a different feeling. I think, you know, the fact that we went out there and, you know, created some really good opportunities in the first 20-25 minutes. You know, we kept running, kept competing, kept, you know, trying to play our way. I think, you know, the lads, you know, deservedly so come out in credit. And
does a result like that give you and the lads even more motivation?
Yeah, it's a brand new experience for a lot of people. I think, you know, I've sat with the lads to do their meetings today. You know, Zach, Max, Pringy, some of the guys that have been here a while have felt the pain that I think a lot of people have felt. And, you know, when you look at some of the experiences we've had, you know, Leeds away, like, phenomenal experience, you know, against such a high-level opposition. You know, the pressure of that week when we played, you know, West Brom and Watford and Sunderland, teams around us, you know, to then the final day against Preston, knowing that, you know, it was in our hands whether we could do it there. They're brand new experiences for a lot of the lads, and, you know, they're ultimately only going to be better players for going through it, and, you know, hopefully be able to recall it on it again in the future.
And you mentioned it earlier, that connection with the supporters has been so special this season. What's your message to them ahead of the summer break?
Just a huge thank you from me, from everybody at the club. I think a huge thank you. It's not easy being a football fan, the same as it's not easy being a coach, a player, because the game's about emotions and the roller coaster we go through on those. But hopefully we've created some special memories from this season. And yeah, a huge thank you again.